It just occurred to me that if you compare slavery versus capitalism...
Oh, that's easy. With capitalism, you have a choice. With slavery, you're forced to work.
Slavery, the business owner has to purchase the human outright and provide basic clothing, keep it relatively safe and healthy, feed it. With capitalism, the business owner merely rents a human for the bare minimum required by law, letting the human pick up the cost for everything else.
Idiot! The business owner pays the person to work there, and the person buys what they need with that. Are you really telling me that it would be better for your employer to decide what you wear, what you eat, where and how you live? And wait, what was that one bit?
The business owner merely rents a human for the bare minimum required by law.
If that's the case, then how come only 3% of Americans get paid the minimum wage? How come McDonald's, Walmart, Target, and other places like that have their starting salary above the minimum wage? At least everywhere that hasn't set it somewhere ridiculous like $15 an hour. If what this moron is saying were true, everyone would be paid the minimum. They aren't. It's just people starting out in the workforce, like teenagers or recent graduates or people with some other kind of absence from the workforce.
So capitalism is held up as a sort of example to give more freedoms and such, but that's not true because most of our waking hours are spent either at work or getting ready for work, traveling to work, traveling home from work.
And how much free time do you think slaves had?
Leaving very little time for actual freedom.
Over the last several decades, the leisure time of the poor and middle class has increased. This increases with capitalism, it decreases with socialism, and it's not there at all with slavery. The difference between slavery and capitalism is the difference not between owning and renting, but between raping and lovemaking.
And then most people just don't have money to spend when they're done with it to enjoy that freedom, that few hours that they might have. So I'm not defending slavery. I'm just saying capitalism itself isn't some kind of panacea to provide freedoms for everybody.
So you see what a complete socialist tool this caller is. Well, now it's the host's turn. I'm sure this Tom guy will set him straight. I mean, even if he doesn't agree 100% with libertarians, surely he has enough respect for his audience not to let something this huge go uncontested. Right?
Oh, absolutely agree. And this is why I in my article for Alternate today, I didn't call it slavery, I call it indentured servitude, because I don't want to minimize the horrors of slavery in the United States.
Yeah, you're a real paragon of virtue there. Indentured servitude was still forced. With capitalism, people have a choice. Not only a choice of where to work, but the choice to start their own business as well. Something that's become easier and easier to do as time goes on, even with the government putting more and more hurdles in front of startups.
From my article, I said historically, indentured servants had their food, health care, housing, and clothing provided to them by their, quote, employers, end quote.
And they had absolutely no choice in the matter.
Today's new serfs can hardly afford these basics of life.
Then why is there so little starvation in this country? How come the only areas that are a problem are areas like healthcare where your wonderful government has stepped in to fix it? My mother was a child of the Depression. Her mother, my Nana, was a single mom from a poor farming family who had her at age 16. She ended up going to beauty school and became a manicurist in a barber shop. Based just on what she was able to save up, she and my mother never went without health insurance. And my mother was able to go to college and get her 4-year degree in math just on what Nana had saved up and what my mom got working summer jobs, without any student loans or any other form of debt. Then your precious government stepped in to fix education and healthcare. And now look at the state of it.
The American labor landscape is looking more and more like old-fashioned servitude.
Really? Look around any given trailer park. People aren't rich, but they have cars, leisure time, and great amounts of autonomy in their lives. It's far from perfect, but look at how slaves and indentured servants have lived. To equate the two is dishonest at best, and by refusing to consider the fact that slaves and indentured servants were forced into it, it's also very psychopathic. What happens when a worker doesn't show up to work? He gets a warning, and if he keeps it up, he gets fired. What happened with a slave? He got beaten.
Missouri just after St. Louis raised their minimum wage to $10, Missouri dropped the entire state back down to $7.70. It's like they really want it this way.
Yes, because they looked at places like Seattle and saw that the only thing minimum wage was doing was destroying jobs and hurting the very people it purports to help. There's a video coming up on Richard Wolff complaining about McDonald's mechanizing cashiers in the wake of the $15 minimum wage in many places. But these socialist psychopaths never seem to want to put two and two together. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit like and subscribe? And to make sure I can keep producing content, support this channel by becoming a patron. And check out all the other great content here, like this video selected especially for you.